2 years ago, my wife and I went to Turkey. We visited a place over there called Kuşadası. As we were there, one of the days on our visit, we decided to go into the town center. The both of us walked down these cobbled streets, laden with people bartering at the different marketplaces, tourists from all over Europe. And as we continued walking, you can smell the aroma of the teas and the incense and everything else. But what captured my attention was this man that was standing in the middle of the street, arms laden from his wrist to his elbows, his feet on the inside of his jacket, on the outside of his jacket, his arms lifted high up into the sky, calling out, "Genuine fake, genuine fake." At the top of his voice, genuine fake, arms outstretched. And I looked at my wife and I said, "What's this all about?" So I approached him and I asked him, why do you say genuine fake? And he showed me the watches. The watches that he had were some of the most well-known watches and most expensive watches that we sell in the UK. But the inside of them were no better than your cheapest Casio or whatever you want to call it. He called them genuine fake because the watch looked real, but the inside wasn't. And it reminded me of a story regarding the disciples in the Gospels. You see, amongst Jesus' 12 disciples, one of them was a genuine fake. In fact, as Jesus in the book of John chapter 13, as you read through those verses, Jesus is sat down, it's the Last Supper, and he says that one of them are going to lift up their heel against him. One of them will betray him. In fact, in verses 21 to 23, it says, "When Jesus had thus said, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, 'Verily, verily, I say unto you that one of you shall betray me.' Then the disciples looked one on another, doubting of whom he was speaking." You see, it's interesting because when you read the book of Mark chapter 6, verse 70, Jesus plainly says, "I've called you 12, but one of you is a devil." He'd never say who the person was. And because of this, it allowed the disciples time to search their own hearts, to question within themselves, am I that devil? Now, it's weird because when you look at the characteristics of a devil, in John chapter 8, verse 44, Jesus outlined that the devil was a murderer and a liar from the beginning. The point is, Satan, or Lucifer, when he started off in heaven, who became Satan, didn't kill anyone in heaven. It was his attitude. He hated God. And in his hatred toward God, the outcome was that he wanted to kill him. Jesus aligns this same attribute to one of the disciples that were there. One of them looked genuine, walked amongst the disciples all the time. They all healed. They all did the works. They were all in church together. But one of them was a devil. One of them had the same attributes and characteristics of Satan, one of an hatred towards God, one where they were willing to kill him. And it's interesting because Jesus, knowing that one of them would betray him, knew that this person is going to help lead him to the cross. Lead him to that point where those people who he may have healed, some of them would be casting out of their mouth the word saying, "Kill him, crucify him." Judas was that traitor. Judas was that genuine fake. The one who looked genuine amongst them, but in his heart, total fakeness. He hated God, but he was willing to be amongst the disciples. And there's 5 main points that I'd like us to think about. You see, Judas joined the walk. He joined, he walked with them, he betrayed Jesus, he was lost, but he was replaced. You see, Judas joined with wrong motives. He walked with them, but he hated God. The outcome of his walk was that he wanted to betray Christ. When he saw that he betrayed innocent blood, he felt guilty. Then he went to kill himself. The ending point of those 4, leading up to the 5th one, was he was replaced. Now, out of the church, there's millions of Adventists across the whole world. And I want to bring it home because we've joined in this walk to say that we want to be with the Lord. And as it says in Philippians 2, verse 12, if we're joining, you need to seek your salvation with fear and trembling. But then we have the walk that we have with him. As the scriptures say in the book of Philippians, 1 John chapter 2, verse 6, we ought to walk even as he walked. So we need to know why we're joining. We need to know that we're going to walk with him and follow his exact pathway. As we continue in our walk, I don't even want to get to the point of us thinking about betraying him. But if your walk with God is not true, you will betray him. You will be lost, and you will be replaced. So I think we need to focus on the first two. What's your reason for joining the walk? Are you desiring to glorify God, or is it about self? Are you here for some type of wrong reason? Because out of the millions of Adventists that there are, some of you are a devil. Some of you are willing to betray the Lord. Some of you are willing to go against everything that he says we shouldn't. And then we continue about your walk with him. Are you walking with him and desiring to be like him, or is it more about you? In closing, I'd like us to think about these points. What's your reason for joining? Are you walking with him? Instead of betraying him, I hope that every one of you who listen to this message will honor him. I hope that none of us will ever be lost, and that your place will never have to be replaced by somebody else's. So I simply close with these words. Don't be a genuine fake. Be genuine. God bless.